I think looking back over the last 3 years, I think the place to start is really with the elections in 2019, which suggested that Swale might be heading for the least uncertainty and possibly chaos. It produced 7 parties, none of them with anything like enough seats to form an administration. One party with 16, another with 11, another with 10, another with 4, another with 3. So we had to think carefully about the way forward, and we formed a coalition. And it was a coalition of 5 groups, which is pretty unprecedented across the country. And I think a lot of people would have assumed it wouldn't last, and it has lasted, and it's lasted for 3 years, and it's provided clarity for Swale. It has provided good management of finances, but at the same time we have managed to change the culture of Swale Borough Council to a very considerable extent. We have changed the constitution to give more members a say so that their constituents know that their local councillors have a greater say in the running of the council. The most important thing, I think, is that there was a perception, at least before 2019, that decision-making was very much limited to whoever was leader. And we've changed that considerably. We had to, because we were a coalition, and every part of the coalition would want to be properly represented. But on a personal level, I've tried to be a strategic leader and then give other members of the Cabinet a very real opportunity to lead their portfolios, which they have done. And they've done to a level of performance which exceeds what I would have expected 3 years ago. So Ben Martin has transformed housing in Swale. We are working strongly towards more affordable housing. We've done more about homelessness. We've done more about rough sleeping. Mike Baldock has been very much the leader in terms of changing the constitution. Monique Bonney has done a great job in trying to stimulate the local economy and making much better use of our property. Richard Palmer has involved Swale Borough Council much more in the local community, and Angela Harrison also with the health service and other supportive bodies. And we also have had Tim Valentine picking up the climate change emergency and making Swale into a very forward-looking council, one of the leading councils across the country in terms of climate change measures. And then we've got Julian Saunders, who has presided over a lot of investment in the community, and we have used funds in order to make Swale a better place for people to visit, for people to enjoy recreation. We've put a lot of money into play areas, we put a lot of money into toilets, so that people feel comfortable when they're visiting areas of Swale. So there are lots of achievements over the last 3 years. It hasn't been an easy time. We had to work with our chief executive for nearly 2 years. That's significant. And then there was a matter of a world pandemic, which particularly hit Swale very strongly with the variant that is called the Kent variant, but at one point we were the most infected borough in the country, which put pressure on us, and at some point, quite unfairly, we had to defend ourselves to the accusation that we were the cause of the spread of the variant, which was a totally egregious position to take. So there was a lot of pressure from that, and the council responded extremely well to the pandemic in lots of ways, supporting individuals with a community hub, making sure that businesses got the funding they needed, and supporting other agencies in terms of making sure that as best we could, people complied with the public health demands that were made of them. What have I enjoyed about being leader? Well, I have to put that into context. So I've been in local government since 1987, and I've never been able to lead at all. I've been in opposition most of the time. There was a period where I was chair of a health committee when we had a balanced council in the 1990s. But anybody would understand that to be in permanent opposition is a frustrating experience. And you sit and watch things and you think that isn't the right way to do that. That isn't what we should be doing. And frankly, I've always felt the council could be more active and do more and relate more to the local community. So that's what we've done. I've enjoyed being in a position to lead on that. I've enjoyed leading a team. And of course, there have been real challenges. I've quite liked having to deal with those challenges and not run away from them. Yeah, so standing down, I do want to acknowledge the support from the coalition, all members of the coalition, but in particular those who've served as cabinet members, who I've indicated have done a very good job, but they've also been supportive. There have been occasions where I've had to say, I want you to do this, even though some of them haven't wanted to do that. So those members are important, but the officers of the council have been tremendously helpful over the last 3 years, particularly when we had no chief executive. That put real demands on other members of the senior management here to act practically as chief executives jointly without having that either status or the rewards of that. And you know that did make things much better than they might have been, and that was particularly the case during the pandemic. At the beginning of the pandemic, we had no chief executive. Other officers needed to fess up very quickly, and they did that. But lastly, I'd like to thank the public who, by their votes, but also since, have actually given me a lot of support. It's inevitable in politics that you have some people who want to be very critical, but my impression is the vast majority of the public have been very supportive. And since I said that I was going to stand down, I had lots of people run out to me in the town centre in Sitting Hall at least, saying, well, good luck, but thank you very much. Well, what am I going to do next is partly I'm going to stay on Swarborough Council for another year, and you know, I hope to play a part, but I will give full support to the leader and the rest of the leadership. But I haven't read all the books I want to read in the last few years. I haven't been to as many cricket and football matches or theatres or cinemas as I would have wanted to. I've been in local politics since the 1980s, and that means my wife has had to put up with a lot of conversation about local politics, but also my not being available, so I clearly want to give more time to her and to the rest of my family.